as we get through this, as we get travel, because it is a long distance, how are 5, 6, 7 different than 1, 2, 3, 4?
I don't know.
I didn't know if it's hard. With
same importance. They're going through the same things.
Yeah.
Play the same amount of games. There's nothing you look at. It's about getting engaged and taking care of, what you can do to recover and make sure you're checking all those boxes and getting ready to go.
As you know a team more in a series, does that change too?
A little bit at times. There's certain adjustments I think, they've tried to do maybe that we try to identify here and there. And we'll try to counter some areas, but it's been a series where, those teams that have been engaged and playing fast and getting in there and getting support, seem to win games.
What have you seen in Max Domi in his short time here, but especially in this series where his production's really
Yeah, good player. Really slotted in nicely for us. He's a player that, right from the start, you saw he had confidence and wanted to make plays. And, his speed is pretty good. He's a quick player, and he's good with the puck. He's been playing great for us. He really has, and he had a really good night the other night. But those are things he's been doing, on a nightly basis. It's good to see him get rewarded with a few.
I think it was Tyler who said that, sometimes you can't really tell what the first or fourth line is for Seattle just because of their depth.
Yeah.
As a team that has a pecking order, do you kind of feel that as well, where you don't really know when you're going up against the first line or fourth line or whatever?
A little bit at times, because they've all showed they can be dangerous, and games they win, they're getting scoring up and down the lineup. So you have that understanding. It goes whether there's a top line or however you want to word it. This time of year is really important, and going out there and trying to create a little momentum and have some success that you don't want to take your foot off the gas, depending on who's out there. Doesn't change a whole lot what we're trying to do.
Joe, when you talk about regular season, they always say go to the net, good things happen. How much is that magnified in a series like this?
Yeah, it's part of the game. Regular season, postseason, that's where a lot of the goals are scored, on second chances and just out supporting guys at times. It's postseason. Everyone's coming back hard. There's not a lot of odd man rushes out there. Guys are blocking shots. You have to be around there, and you have to be, committed to going there. It definitely plays a part.
The chemistry come back pretty quick with Rope and Robo.
Yeah, I think so.
It's just been an interesting process, 2.5 years, but it just seems like it's just there as soon as you step on the ice. Is that?
Yeah. So that's pretty accurate.
Is that a nice feeling to have?
It's a good feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know.
Like
you don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
It's something you definitely don't take for granted. And we have a certain level that we believe we can play at, and you want to come out and be prepared. Win battles, get in there, get support, make plays. It's definitely something. You get the puck and you look, and the guys usually has pretty good support out there, and you're able to move it and go from there.
I know all young players go through it. At this point, do you talk to Jason at all, or is there anything to say, or how do you kind of hit this adjustment period that he's had? How do you address it?
He's doing a lot of good things. He's getting a lot of good looks. That's number one. The puck's finding him. He's finding space out there with it. It'll start going in. Not worried about that. It's, the biggest thing is just the confidence level. Work for the next one. It's coming. Just kind of speaking to yourself correctly and not beating yourself up too much. But half the time can be magnified at times through the media. The first series, they're having so much success on the PP, and they're producing. And you guys are all beating them down. But that was how that series played out. So now this one's been a little bit more 5-on-5 at times, and he's been right there with looks and chipping in and just playing good hockey for us.
Just an update on three guys, Ty, Yanni, and Mason.
All game time decisions. I think this time of year, everyone's dealing with that. So good they all went for a skate here this morning, and then we'll reconvene this afternoon and make some calls.
After getting 2 games on the road, does it always feel a little bit more, I guess, advantageous, like you said, game 5 and 7 to have at home? Does it have a different feel to it when you do come back after 2 games?
Yeah, I think I've said this before. I think the deeper a series goes, the more home ice starts to matter, and I think teams get a little worn down, fatigue. The energy in the building is obviously a help at those points for momentum and things like that. And I think that becomes more important as the series goes on.
I was just going to ask on the two guys who came in, how much does their performance affect your decision? Like, did you look at Hanley and say, hey, we liked what he did, or
For sure. I mean, both the guys did a great job. I mean, both those guys were great in the first round against Minnesota, Kiviranta and Hanley. Both were really tough decisions going out, and both came in and were excellent and did what they had to do. So, every time you're making those calls, they're tough calls, and those guys have made those tough.
And then as the series gets to 5 games, you've got travel, especially with Seattle. Both teams are dealing with it. But how are 5, 6, and 7 different than 1, 2, and 3? It just seems like you have to turn around and fly tomorrow, and then whatever fatigue. I don't know if you have to manage it at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's some planning, especially with the different start times, right? We're 8:50 tonight, and we're 4 o'clock on Saturday in Seattle. So, there's different planning. I mean, it's essentially with the cross-country flights, they start feeling like back-to-backs almost. Tonight feels almost like a back-to-back. I'm sure Saturday will too. So that's just this time of year.
Curious, with a player like Miro who plays as much in as many situations, how do you look at how do you kind of gauge the eye test versus analytics and how he grades out and just different things like that?
Honestly, I don't even look at the analytics with Miro. I mean, the eye test is enough. I don't need anything more than that. He was outstanding. Why would the analytics say he was poor? Huh? Really? Oh my God. Controlled the whole game. Anyway.
Top line, did you like the chemistry of them playing together?
Yeah. They
Come back together.
They always do, and I think Jason Robertson had his most promising game probably of the playoffs or in a while anyway, from an offensive point of view. So, and I don't think that's an accident. They have a chemistry that is real.
Pete, with Max Domi, what are you seeing, especially in this series, from him that maybe it took a little time when he first got here to show up, and how beneficial has he been, especially when I know you wanted to increase the 5-on-5 scoring, especially?
Yeah, I think anytime you go to a new team, there's always an adjustment period. I think it took Joe Pavelski almost a year. So those guys that come in at the trade deadline are tough. I think Dadonov had a little bit of an advantage because I've coached him before, and he knew the system and kind of the importance of some of the things that we want to do. Max I'd never coached before and hadn't played in our system, so I'm not surprised it took a little longer, but he's been essential for the success we've had. He's gotten more comfortable. As he's gotten more comfortable, you see more of his game come out with his speed and carrying the puck and making plays. So it's a great sign. We've needed him this round, and he's been fantastic. Maybe our best player.